First, we're going to start out by delineating for you my understanding of the levels of consciousness. That doesn't mean they're like that. It just is my understanding. When we get through, you may have the same understanding and you may have different levels of consciousness. But a lot of people write me letters asking me about all sorts of things that go on in the inner worlds of spirit. And I'm so tired of writing the letters, I just assume they buy the tape and listen to it. $10. Okay, I can't do that. It has to be whatever. So starting down here at this level, we're just going to write it down so you can see it. This is what we call the physical. In case any of you wonder, that word says physical. Put the camera on it. Let me see if it's... It looks okay to me. Sometimes it looks like the physics to me, but maybe it does to others too. The physical level here has something very important with it, and I want you to keep that in mind, but I'm not going to tell that to you right now. Something very important. Well, I'll tell you, it's called you. And along this level here is an idea, a consciousness of who we are. And I just call this part here Now, I was wondering if you thought that was an eye or a torpedo. Got you going, haven't I? Wait till you see these take-home exam. This I am just happens to be on all the levels. Now, that isn't going to turn out like that ahead of time because I'm the guy that originated that poster that said, plan ahead, that went down the corner. This has not been worked out prior to right now. I am seeing it for the first time also. So if I stand here in awe at what I'm doing, somebody tell me to get back at it and so we can continue on. There's another level above this that's classically referred to as the astral. So let me put that in here very classically. That's what you call classically. Now, it's been called a lot of things. There's another level above that. These levels don't mean anything if you're looking at them as being stories in a building. But if you look at it as being vibration rates, then you can have all the vibrations in one spot. And as the vibrations thin themselves out, you get to hear the sound of A, and the sound of B, and the sound of whatever the next chord would be, or note. Now, there's another level above this, which is what we call the causal. Causal is just the concept of cause and effect. From this place here, most of our, let's use the word judiciously, troubles come from. Above this is where most of you like to think you come from, which is the mental. I know you like to think that because that's the mental. Starting out and getting into those people who's got their master's degree, you're starting to come. And above this is another one that we call the etheric. Here's where we get to check spelling. It's either the etheric or the etheric. On each one of these levels, there are characteristics, there are vibrations, there are situations that are very unique to them. The uniqueness to them is important to know because in those levels, the soul, which is the I am here, resides all the time as an ongoing beingness, essence, consciousness, all the time. It is on all the levels. It has to be because of its nature. I haven't even got to the higher levels, but I'm not going to that yet. I just want to deal with this, because this is, if you got above this level here, you wouldn't be asking me questions. You'd be given answers. So let's just deal with this level down here. In the physical level, one of the things that is so important is that we have the physical, and I'm going to start doing letters. So then we have the astral, and we have the causal, and we have the mental, and we have the etheric, and we have the soul. All right down here. Folks, right here in this body is it. But it's also the same with yours. However, this it knows it. That might be a difference. Some of you others may say, I got the acne, but that's not acne. That's astral, causal, mental, etheric, soul. Acne is what you get on your skin. But I think from now on you will remember that. You already knew that. You went through the clear cells approach. The interesting thing is on the astral level, what we have here is the causal, the mental, the etheric, and the soul. But did you notice there's no physical? So you can be in the astral realm working out mental things called hallucinations, illusions. We call them wackos. You can also be on the astral, which is an imagination plane, and be working on the unconscious. In fact, you're daydreaming. They say, what are you daydreaming about? And you go, what? Well, where were you? I was in my daydreaming, but there was nothing there because you're in the etheric, or what we call the unconscious. So let's just put this up here, UNC, and that'll be the corporation. In the causal level here, we have the astral. Of course, I'm going to put the causal in here as well as the causal, along with the mental and the etheric, as well as the soul. Now, we're going up the mental, and let me put in here the A for the astral here. Can you people see that on TV over there okay? And you people are seeing my back? Okay, well, there's not much there, but this way doesn't do much either. Look at this monitor here. This will do it for you. On the mental level, we have the astral, the causal, and of course the mental, and the etheric, and the soul. Have you found something that keeps showing up? The soul keeps showing up, doesn't it? When you get up here in the etheric, you have the astral, causal, mental, etheric, and the soul. Now, the interesting thing about that is the only place on this chart where all that's together is right here in the physical. And the only thing that's in common on all of them is this one here that we call the soul. It's always showing up there. Looking at that just in a state of rationalizing, what would you say would be the most important aspect that carries through everything? That's just the way it works. Now, that soul is another way of saying, I am. But in real truth, when we get down to real metaphysical nitty-gritty, when we say I, you're speaking out of the unconscious, because that's the God of the unconscious, the I, because that I doesn't know who it is that speaks. When you say I say, who's that? And you go, me. And that's the same one. I and me, it's the same one. That's the God of the unconscious. Now, you could be soul traveling, and what we do in the movement is we enter over here into what we might call the I am, or the soul. Our first movement is to get to that, because that is on all levels. Being on all levels, why not go for the best thing possible? What we do down here is we see the physical, and we don't really see these etheric, mental, causal, astral, and soul aspects. And so seeing is believing, and so what we see is what we believe, and what we believe is what we see, and there's the physical. And we add unto the physical by all the above things. Right now, all of us in this room have total power all times in the physical world, except for one minor, simple thing. The soul is on the end here purposefully, because it is the weakest aspect in the physical world. And the physical is by far the strongest. The astral being the imagination. Boy, remember all the things we can imagine? Somebody says, we're going to Disneyland, and geez, we already got that thing built in our mind. Or somebody says, tonight I got a surprise for you. And boy, you got it wrapped, and you know exactly what it is. And the surprise was they weren't coming home. That wasn't part of it. And you go, ah. In the causal, another word for this is emotion. The emotive body. The energy, emotion is like saying energy that moves. Doesn't have any intellect. Water moves. Doesn't have any intellect. It carries, it's involved with, it seems to be wrapped in all aspects of everything in this world. So does this causal feeling, this emotional feeling, seem to be a fabric that weaves through everything. On this fabric, this golden thread, resides all of our DNA, RNA type of molecules psychically that we have inherited the predisposition towards, or that we're working on to finish up, to clear up in all of these worlds, in all of them. So this particular thread here, and let's just put it on the top, comes down through this way, and it comes up through this way. It seems that no matter how spiritual you get, you climb up this path, you can still go crazy with emotions. So I'm so spiritual, why doesn't she love me? Bad breath. I'll brush my teeth, she'll love you. Oh, you mean spiritual people have to worry about bad breath? Only when they have bad breath. What about if they don't? If you're by yourself, there's no problem. You're going to be with somebody else, you have something to deal with. You deal with that the way you want to. The physical here takes precedent because that is the big thing we see. It's called this body. One thing to keep in mind, all of this that's represented on this board here, all of this body, everything is condensed spiritual energy. So the physical body is condensed spiritual energy, but has picked up a vibration of change. And so therefore, its nature is to continue changing its vibration. It will not hold. It's not designed to hold, and that doesn't mean that the giver of all this can't change it. It'd be kind of nice if he would, because I'd like to stay at this age. But I looked in the mirror this morning, and he hadn't. So I wrote him a letter. Couldn't find anybody that would take it, so I stuck with it. So in the physical level here, we have this astral imagination. We have this causal emotion. We have this mental thought pattern. We have this etheric unconsciousness, and we have the soul. And the soul is what allows you to say, I am. So it is above this level here, the I am. It is the part that when I say, don't say I am and think I am, when you do that, that's who you are. Whenever you can stop any motion of any kind, that's who you are. Anything else that can be verbalized, put out verbally, is part of this world of reflected light. All of this, etheric, mental, causal, astral, physical, is seen, is known, because it reflects and gives off energy, gives off light. We're seen here physically because it's reflecting off my skin. You will see my imagination through the astral as I say things to you in words. I take your mind and I start moving a certain way, and then I drop it on you, and you get caught up thinking, look what he did. Well, I know I had your imagination, that I was taking it with me. Coming up here then, we get initiated, usually when you see or hear the traveler speak first time. In the night time, and we call this the dream state, or with the night travel. In fact, we're known as a fly-by-night group. We may change prana to the Purple Rose Airlines for the new age. I don't know. But what happens is we can, any part of this astral, causal, mental, etheric, or soul, split it off and let it float up to the next level of its frequency compatibility. So the causal really can't go too much higher than the causal as a pure essence. As it's mixed up with the mind, it'll come up here into the mental level. As the causal here is mixed up in the unconscious, it'll come up here in the etheric level. So these things ride on each other. That's why it's so darn hard to solve a problem on one particular level, one aspect. That's why we need doctors, chiropractors, medical practitioners, healers, counselors, husbands, wives, children. The whole thing is because it takes a whole bunch of us in order to accomplish this. And this part here is not who we are. These are part of our personality approaches and actions to get things in this world. And these are the psychic worlds, the psychic material worlds, or the psychic material spiritual worlds, depending upon your definition. It's all spiritual, but because of the way the vibration changes, because of the way it takes on its characteristics, it functions differently. Most psychics, and I'm just using that as a real general thing, and don't go out to your next psychic and say, John Rogers said you function on the astral level. But most psychics will function off this level here. This is the level of phenomena, flying saucers, hocus pocus, levitation, table raising. Why? Because the imagination is so fantastically strong. It is one of the most powerful tools we physically have here, other than our physical body. Other than that, the physical body is stronger. Now, so you get initiated into the astral in the night travel. And then from then on, these are all done in the spirit worlds in the night travel, but they're also reconfirmed to you physically, so you know where you are down here, where you are out here. And when we travel out here, we travel on the light energy that we have accumulated through our intellect and our intelligence and our wisdom, in our trials, our errors, our mistakes, in our whole living, in all of the living, we have accumulated light. A lot of that light we shed off saying, I don't need that, that's a burden. And other light we go towards because it lifts us, it makes us feel whole, it makes us feel complete. And you notice I didn't say we were. It makes us feel that. It also makes us feel incomplete, not whole, upset, not worthwhile. So whenever positive you can lay on this, you can lay negative into it, because these are the positive, negative worlds. Right here. The only part, the physical's in the negative, astral's in the negative, causal's in the negative, mental's in the negative, etheric's in the negative. The only thing that's positive in them is the soul. It's the only thing here that's positive is the soul. That's what we see when we look into people's eyes. We see that thing that says, oh my God. Well, you could say my soul, but we usually say my God. It's quite true. It is that essence of God, that energy, and yet known, appreciated, and moved upon, and still undefinable, and you can't grasp it. And if you were to cut somebody open to find it, it would be gone before you got a chance to know it. They tried to weigh it to see how much it weighed by putting people on a real delicate scale. And at the time of death, that energy that left would change the weight. And so they knew how much the soul weighed. Except if the person had a lot of water in their lungs, when they let it all out, that also gave up weight. Yeah, they're still after it. The soul is not seen and known in this level except by the reflection of the beingness of how far we go inside of ourselves. It can be seen, soul can be seen, by coming to another level. Now I'm going to flip this over and see if I pass chart flipping. So I don't know if I should sign that or not, but well. Right here, above the etheric, and let me write that in as a reference point. There is a dividing line. And this dividing line has been referred to in a lot of sacred scriptures as the great void. There's nothing really there. In fact, in the etheric, there's not much there. There's the archetype of all of our beingness that goes, I think the word is ontogeny, recapitulates phylogeny. We go through the very process of all... We go through the very process of all evolution of all species on the planet to get to man. And all those archetypes are found in here. The witches, the goblins are found here, but they're also found in the lower astral level. A lot of the black magic, white magic comes out of here because it's done ritualistically. And the unconscious responds to ritual. Remember that, ritual. Somebody goes, hey, 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 that's a ritual. Those are rituals. Anything that gets a person to look at you. That's what this is all involved with. Look at me, look at me. You look at me and say, what for? Keep looking, you might see it. It's there, I know it's there. Well, if you know it's there, don't worry about it. That's all that's important. In this void here, and let's have this line here, call it the big black thing. I call it the cosmic mirror. Most people who are traveling in spirit, in either the astral, causal, mental, or etheric, or soul body, come up to this point here, and they see it, and they see themselves in the radiant glory of their beingness and declare themselves God. And then come on back down here and set up a group like this. I blew the whole thing, right? Everything that's going to show up in these lower levels, from the physical up to the etheric, will show across this cosmic mirror here. Everything. Edgar Cayce referred to it in the dream state. He says any great thing that's going to happen to you first shows up in the dream state and you get to preview it or see it. But it is not preordained to take place. You can change it because we are from a higher level of consciousness than this. This only holds on you when you come up to the mirror and you look at it and you say, I am that. Whatever that is that you see. The astral body, not just the physical, the astral body, is more glorious than 15 of our suns. Can you imagine if God showed up as glorious as 15 of our suns? That's on a full day when you can see it. You'd say, that's it. That's it. That's God. When the people are traveling in these lower realms, they see the lords of these various realms. They do declare they've reached the supreme oneness, the beingness, and that's it, and go no further. One thing in the movement, a lot of you are running up against this too, is we also have a thing here called etc. It means, I don't care if you got this far or this far, keep going, because you still may be down the astral kidding yourself. And if you are, you better keep going. And if you're not, it's not going to bother to keep going. So either way, keep going, no matter what happens. Above this etheric, level is where our own real home lives, and this is the soul. Once I spelled it S-O-L-E, and somebody said, "You spelled it wrong." I said, "You have to have understanding to get that part." Is it slowly moving across the room? The soul is our identity as a spiritual being, but it is not our identity as a physical corporate being. Our identity is our physical body and our face and our money and our wealth and our possessions. But most of the time we'll say, well, I feel that, and we try to run the causal level, the emotions, as who we are, as having some degree of validity and truth in it. Rare. It's got a lot of stuff in it, and most of it, we've thrown it in there. That's the garbage areas where we have all sorts of residuals that we have to take care of. It'd be nice if they could burn it out in a hurry. Above the soul are nameless, inaccessible planes. And I'm not even going to go into that with you, because even to go up to here, I start lying to you by even trying to tell it to you, because there's no way I can tell you a word that tells you the truth about it. But it still may give you a chance to go past it anyway at some point, so I just allow you that opportunity. These are nameless, inaccessible planes, but up here at the very top someplace is the one that we know as the One, as the Creator. Now, down here in the lower levels, there are lords of each one of these realms. And the lord of this realm is what's known as the Prince of Darkness. And we just refer to him as the Kal Power, Kal Naranjan. Now, it's not like a devil who's going to take you and chew you up in hell. The angel Yama does that. Thought you had a mate, huh? Oh boy, no more devil. But that would be, all of those would be what we call left-handed forces. Left-handed forces. We come out of what you might call the center or the right side. And in all of these levels here, for every positive, there has to be a negative reflector so you can see it, so it can exist here. And we take the path on the right side up, so that the lords that we know that are over all of these divisions. Now, if I had enough lines to draw in this causal realm here, maybe 10 million, there would be that many types of levels in there. The Bible says, "In my house is many mansions. If it weren't so, I would have told you so." And it talks about worlds without end. Folks, that's the most understatements of understatements. There are just too many. You could exist in one of these levels by yourself and see nobody for eternities, because there's just that many levels. As many levels of vibrations there are people, and we're all different, that's how many levels you have. But being that we're sheep and we like to congregate together, we all want to get to the best level. So whichever person promises the level that has the best thing for us, that's the one we're going to go to. It won't work. The only way you get here is to go through your ability. No one can go from this level here up by themselves. How do you get out? You have to have somebody come from the top one down. They're around. Travelers have been on the planet all the time. They don't take embodiment as we have embodied in the soul. They take an overshadowing and use the body as a source of energy displacement or energy return or to charge a battery. So we need a connection to someone who sits up higher who will get on this line of energy. By the way, how do you get through this cosmic mirror here? There's a little tunnel over here. That's just in case if you're looking across the mirror one day and you see a little speck, go over and walk through it. Because you might think it's just a fly walking around on it, but it's how you get through there. You have to know how to traverse this tunnel here. It's dark. At this point in here, through all this etheric, and this tunnel will extend way down inside of here, you must use your light, your consciousness, your courage, your conviction, your devotion, all the things you develop that are spiritual qualities to lighten this path. You listen to the sound of God, the sound current, as it comes down through the levels. And by understanding which level of sound appears in which level of frequency, you can tell where the soul is while you're here. Your big problem now is to keep expanding awareness here into the soul and back again, because as you'll notice on this piece of paper here, there was no place that I drew memory. There's no memory of this. When you come back from the causal level, you come back feeling something happened. When you come back from the mental level, you heard something, but you forgot. Why did I forget? It was so clear. I remember when I was asleep, you said da-da-da-da-da, and I woke up and I didn't have it. Why not? Well, right here is where the memory might function if there were a thing here. But what happens is consciousness through the soul keeps extending itself out as a vortex. Look familiar to the logo on the movement logo? And anyway, it just keeps extending itself out and out until all you do here is stay in the soul and you're on all levels simultaneously. You don't have to use memory. You're just immediately present here and now, and there's nowhere to go because there's nowhere to go. You can pretend there's places to go because you can draw timelines, then measure time, and then use accomplishments. But after you've done all of the mental gymnastics, after you've done all of that, you're still the soul on all levels simultaneously. The traveler consciousness resides right with this. All the time. Stays in that level, never leaves the level. That's the same level the Holy Spirit stays in. That's the same level that the Christ stays in. Let's look at the Christ for just a moment. On each level, there is a Christ consciousness. So when somebody stands up and declares himself Christ, you might just as well go along with it. If there was 40 billion levels in here, you got 40 billion levels of Christ in here. And down here, and up here, and up here. So somebody says, I'm Christ, you believe it? And I say, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. Except there's a big key. Big key. All this level down here, from the etheric to the physical, we call the magnetic levels. The magnetic light. Most people worship it as a supreme God. Jehovah's worship there, Yahweh. A lot of people worship Jesus Christ on that level, though that's foolish, because that's restricting the level of consciousness. If we have, and I'll just do this here as a physical, astral, causal, mental, etheric, and soul. And if you know that says PACMES backwards. So now you got a mnemonic device to remember it. PACMES. Going up. There is what we would call a spiritual light, and there's what we would call a magnetic light. And that magnetic light functions below the soul level here. Functions below it, does not function above it. It is the negative energy field that we all exist in here. But the soul level resides on the magnetic light to come in, because that's how it gets in here too. So you can't buy one without buying the other one. That's why you can't hate one and hate the other. That's why you got to love your neighbors yourself. Because if you say you love your neighbor or you love God and you hate your neighbor, you're just lying to yourself, because these things go like this. They're intertwined together. Remember the old caduceus that the medical people got and tried to make their own? It's because they couldn't make up their mind. That's the kundalini, the way it rises up through the centers of the back. If this magnetic light down here is a 1, and the spiritual light down here is a 1, you will experience cosmic consciousness on the level of the physical world. You will be an enlightened person here and probably get your PhD. or something else. I mean, you really have it together. Every place you walk, the water parts. Birds don't do it on you, Your parking place is there when you want it. If you happen to have both the spiritual light and the magnetic light hit two together, then you will really be a Christed cosmic being because you got those things matched. You got your trip together. I mean, you could probably raise the dead to heal the sick, make birds out of dirt and fly them in the air. Hey, that's nothing to laugh at. That's pretty good. How many of you do it? All right. I mean, so we're laughing, but still that's all right, However, it is a trap because you may think that's your job, and that isn't. That belongs to those people who are here doing the trap. If the same thing were to take place on the causal level, then emotionally you would be able to convince all of your followers that you are the Christ. Just through your emotional appeal. Down here, you do it through the imagination. Up here, if they both matched, your intellect, your brilliance of your intelligence would show that you had cosmic consciousness, and that would be it. And if you had it here, it'd put you in a mental institution. Because you'd be walking around in light and not knowing what to do with it. And they'll lock you up. There's a lot of people who are in institutions who are really brilliant. Now, you might say, well, why don't we do this in the movement? Because that's defeating. What we do is we always attempt to have, from the physical up to the soul level here, at least 1/2 degree difference between the magnetic light and the spiritual light. So let's say if my right hand is the magnetic light and my left hand is the spiritual light, we don't want them matched. We want them to be off a little bit so that as they come up. Why? Because the magnetic light is to produce in this world and to learn and gain and grow and get out there and risk and take chances and succeed and fail and get up and go again. When it works the other way, that the person's spiritual light gets higher, they stand up on the pulpit, pound the book, and tell you all about it, and they're so spiritual. Except afterwards, they sneak out behind the church and have their cigarette and their beer and their women and and all this stuff down around the corner. But after all, they can get away with it because they're so spiritual, and they can do healings to show you. They can prove it. They can heal you. They can show you. They can demonstrate it. Frauds. Well, the fraud in terms of spiritual, hey, but if somebody's going to get a healing, take it, right? Who knows? Take it. If they're not good at it, do it yourself. It's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. So by keeping these within 1/2 degree of each other, we will continually keep progressing in this world and be responsible, and we will bring the spiritual energies down into this world and start cleaning up the pollution in these inner worlds of the physical, astral, causal, mental, and etheric, because it's been polluted by all of our existences in here in the past. So we have a job to do as co-creators. As co-creators. To be spiritually, ecologically clean. It has nothing at all to do with sex, hugging, kissing, or anything. It has to do with vibratory frequencies and how you're living in them. Now, you could have an initiation take place. It's called light initiation. What happens is you would move at some point where these two, the magnetic and the spiritual, come together. And you could be out of the body traveling, and those things will hit together, and you will just be enlightened. It is brilliant. It may knock you flat on the floor. You may get stigmata on you. You can have all sorts of phenomena. You could levitate and float across the room when they come together. You can also disappear when those come together. When they hit together, there's places on the planet that they converge regularly. But they don't converge regularly in terms of how we can predict them. They do it when they do it, and if you're there when it does it, bye. Where do you go? There's no place to go. You're just not there anymore. So you could be down here where these two cross and have illumination, Here where they touch, here where they touch. I could have made these touch a lot of places. But I want to do it this way to point out to you that where they do come together, don't be the fool to say, I've reached it, I've got it, I'm higher than you, I've got this thing, I saw what you're doing, because you're still below the soul level. And it's the biggest trap that the negative power has going, is to think you got it. It's okay to think you're good and you're wonderful and you're lovely, but don't stop thinking you got it. Open the book and study the spelling words. Go study for your chiropractic examinations. Go ahead and write your dissertations. Just because you know this stuff, it's just more garbage. But when it starts to happen to you, something inside of the garbage says, wait a minute. Yeah, I could stop there, and look what I've got. I've got 10,000 people all going to supply me $10,000 all on the same day, and that's going to happen from now on, and I've got it made on this planet. I'll stop. You follow a fool. It's okay to give him all your money, but make sure he's keeping going. Because if that's who you're following and he stops here, where do you think you're going to go to? You can't go any higher than that when you take the energy from. You can go no higher than the one you take the energy from. Get it real clear, real sharp inside of you. If you get it from a book, you can only go as high as whoever the press was. Get it out of the spirit inside of you. Listen to the information in the world, the books, that's printed. Go ahead and listen to that. That's fine. But go inside of you and validate it and find out for yourself. And we teach the spiritual exercises, the techniques of how to get in there. And it's been described what you find here along the way so you don't get caught and trapped. And there are a lot of people that have been in these from all different religions and races on the planet. And they describe it so closely it smells like the Chicago stockyards. Doesn't matter which way the wind blows, you know you're close. Just don't get that close. When we're in these levels, and I'm going back here to this big mess, the sound current on this level would sound like thunder or a popping noise. Often when you come back in the body in the morning, you hear, or somebody's knocking on the door. Well, you slapped in about 3 places instead of just coming in one. That happened to me the other morning. I heard knock, 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 knock. Then I realized later on I was sort of there and there and there. And I thought, God, I really must have come skidding in like one of those birds that flies beautifully, but when it lands, watch out, here he comes. In here, it's more the sound of surf, the surf rolling in. And you might say a little surf or big surf. Don't worry, if you hear surf, you walk over, take your board with you, you'll find out. In the causal level, it's chimes or tinkling bells. And they're very, very delicate. They're very delicate. That's why we tell you, chant the sacred tones for a while and stop and listen. And you have to turn yourself inward to listen, to hear what that is. Sometimes it's the blood rushing by your head. Go see your doctor. Make sure that that's okay, and then sit down and do your spiritual exercises. One of the key things always on this is because when you develop spiritually, physical manifestations happen in the body that make you think you have physical illnesses and diseases. Go to the doctor and find out. Because if you don't, all the time you're trying to do this, you're worried that you got a disease. So you defeat this at the same time. So you're wasting your time. Go find out. Go say, look, I'm hearing this ringing in my ears. He takes your blood pressure and he says, it's high. Let's do this to get it down. Then you do your SCs and you say, gee, I'm not getting anywhere. The ringing's gone. Yeah, I know, but you might live longer. So you got a chance to listen longer. In the mental, this is running water. And I've heard it like a brook meandering back and forth. I've also heard it like water rolling rocks down a little incline. This here. And a lot of other people have described it so that when you hear it, it's close enough that you're saying, oh yeah, that's it. And in the etheric level here, it's a buzzing sound. The buzzing is like a bee, the sound of a bee. or a fly flying by your ear. Often in the morning, it's a fly by the ear. That's the sad news. But that's okay because you're ready to get up anyway. The colors that go with this, in the physical here, it's green. And in the astral here, it's a pink or rose color. And in here, it's orange, pale salmon, sort of an orange color in the causal. And in the mental, it's blue like this blue here that we're writing on, if that shows on camera. And in the etheric, it's a violet purple color. Now, the traveler comes on that color. So you can see him in the lower worlds. Because if you came on the other colors above it, you couldn't see him because the color's clear. So you look out and you go see him and it's clear. And you go, where are you? So he comes in on the purple color here so it can be seen, but it's also transmutes to the next level. As you go up into the next level, which would be the soul level and above, this is like a flute. But the flute is a haunting sound, not like you're being haunted by a ghost, but it's something that pulls you inextricably right up to it. That's it. You're going. And you will give up everything in this world when you hear that sound. That sound is what we call the Word of God that was made flesh. That is the same word or sound. And it's in everybody. It comes to the soul. And that's why we don't do astral travel or causal or mental or etheric, because there's traps in the level, but you stand in the soul level and travel. By traveling in the soul, you can be on any level faster than this. It's faster than a thought that you can move through those. I guess there's no need to go above. Well, I'll just give you the sounds. When you get above the first level, the soul up here, it's a wind. The wind blows. It's like a cool summer wind that blows through the trees. I was quite old before I found out that it wasn't the trees that was making the wind blow, because every time the trees did this, there was wind in the air. And that was really awakening. That was a scientific experiment for me. I used to spend a lot of time up in the trees to watch how they moved the wind. I never told anybody till tonight. Or today. Above this is sounds like a whole bunch of violins playing or angels singing. It's the most beautiful sound. These sounds have all been described in mythologies. In the travels of Ulysses, there were references made to these various things. So the allegories of the sound of God and the sound that comes from heaven is in all the types of writings. Jesus referred to it. He says, the wind comes where it comes and it goes where it goes, and no man knows where it comes and where it goes. That's the sound of God. It sometimes comes down and manifests as color as flame. When it manifests as color down here on the astral level, it could have that pink into it or a pinkish gold. And this is what happened at the time of Pentecost, when the winds of heaven came down and the colors manifested above all the disciples. That was the Holy Spirit manifesting through the magnetic light. So you see, you start to get the thing from the empirical scientific look at it, and the thing starts to put together and it all makes sense. But you can't follow it all because it takes too long to get it through the intellect in order to follow it. When you get up above the third level and into the inaccessible level, then you hear the sound of hue. When you get real up high, you just hear a hue sound. And then there's sounds above that, but they're not sounds that you can make with your voice. Well, that's been a little intellectual trip through the planes of consciousness. And you probably have all sorts of questions, but you just don't know which one does you want to ask. So don't. Oh, I can answer it. I've been asked all the dumb ones because I sit down and listen to myself ask them. One thing that I want to keep in mind is this whole idea here of people coming to a certain level of consciousness, both the spiritual and the magnetic, and having a match. And there'll be times when that'll hit and you'll feel so clear. And so you'll just see so clearly what it is, and then it moves off. And you go, Why didn't I keep that? Because then you're locked in the astral level, dummy. That's why you don't keep it. The traveler immediately pulls it off that half a degree. Usually, if it's off more than 2 degrees between the spiritual and the magnetic, you have a crazy person walking around. I mean, they're really psychotic because they don't know which way is going which way. So when they stay within a degree from the spiritual and magnetic, you have what you'd call a healthy, natural, I'm not using the word normal, human being. And they have their wits about them. They can still be fooled because they may have karma in these levels. Now, you can work out the karma in the causal level here, all of it, and there's a causal level there that's got karma in it. And there's a causal level there that's got karma in it. And you could work out all your astral karma down here, and there's astral karma there, and astral karma there, and astral karma there. You say, when do I ever get through it? You keep at it. That's the question you don't ask is when do I get through it, because it's been asked too many times. So whenever you say, oh boy, I'm a mental initiate, yeah, working on astral karma. You might just well be down here. There's no big proudness in that. What we do is we find the hole that gets us through where the soul is clear on each level, not being bound by all the misdeeds, the undone deeds, the desires, the corruptions on all the level. And when that gets clear and can start up, that's when we'll initiate to the next level. We get a hole through it. You've heard me say if we can get a hole through there, we can initiate the next level. That's so we can get all this junk here back off the soul. Then when you get in the soul level, it's easy for you also to come down and start working out through the astral and the physical level. Because the soul does not accrue karma in terms of it makes it. It hangs on to it because it's creator and has a responsibility of creation. But also when it gets up into the soul level, none of this stuff here from the etheric down can go into the soul level, so it has to drop off, and it's like taking off coats. It drops off, it drops away from you. Then you have to be able to stand in the soul body, in the soul realm, to see the Lord of that realm, who's more brilliant than 100 billions of our suns. So I get you have to increase your light energy a little bit more in order to be... Some of you can't even look at car lights coming down the road at you. It's like, oh, that's too bright, dim your light. No, you're going to have a real hard time when you... and this isn't accomplished by you going out and standing looking up at the sun like that to get used to the light of the sun. That'll burn your eyes out. Then you're not going to see very much. This seeing that I'm talking about is all seen and done with the inner senses, the inner abilities. The outer abilities that we have here, emotionally, mentally, and all that, to talk and to move people, are here for this level. And we're trying to have the inner level senses come out in this world and work for us when we've already got them out here, and we won't work them. So we're saying, oh, please help me get my astral eyes open. Well, why don't you just open your physical eyes and don't put that stuff in your mouth? Open your astral eyes, will just let you see what you're doing, and you put that in there too, because you haven't learned how to monitor your life and stop putting junk in there that doesn't work. Now, what does this all boil down to? You're responsible. You're the creator. You don't do it, it doesn't get done. Ultimately, as ultimate, we all save ourselves because we are all that same soul, that same essence. We are all that. And all it has done has split itself off and hasn't even depleted itself. I mean, when God made this universe, He didn't use everything. There's so much stuff left flying around in the air, it's miserable. I mean, there's enough for a whole lot more creation. And you can create by going through the same process I spoke about last night of how you create habits and how you break them. The same process can be used here because all that information came out of these levels of beingness, those levels of consciousness. When you hear it explained to you, you may not have known this is where it was coming from, over here. But you knew it because that had been your experience. You'd been experiencing that. Now that I've told you about these levels of consciousness here and how this works, some of you will have the audacity to go out and mock it up in the imagination and then say that it's real, and then when nothing happens, you're going to doubt me because you're stupid. There's no need to doubt me. just don't go mocking it up. Just go look at it and see what it is. Don't create anything in this world. Observe what's in this world. Creation is over. You get to enjoy it. You don't have to do something. Just enjoy it. Everything you enter into it with joy. Enter into it in the sense of completeness. Don't leave anything hanging out because it'll shoot into the unconscious and then drag later on. It'll make you feel uncomfortable when you should be comfortable doing anything, anytime, all the time, all of us. And yet being comfortable doing anything isn't a license to go hurt anybody, because you wouldn't be doing that, because that would make you uncomfortable and you'll always be comfortable. So you would always be withdrawing from hurting somebody before you ever hurt them. That's nice. That's the law of empathy. Well, maybe I've talked your leg off you for a little while here, and I haven't been doing very many seminars at Prana for a while because of world work and travel and stuff like that. Not just in the spirit, but physically. And maybe some of this now, that when you people get home and you decide you have to write to me and ask me, were you really initiated? You felt like you just cleared the causal, went into the mental. Check to see if you're in the mental and the causal. And save yourself 15 cents. Maybe it'll be $1 next year to write, for postage. I don't know. I saw a card where they designed the new postage stamp. It was a $1 bill. If that's true, you want to make sure you save your money. And, whenever you're in any of these levels, you say, well, I feel that I've reached it somehow or another, or something happened, I'm not sure what it is. Well, there's an etheric there which is unconscious, and there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one there. Maybe it's just all physical. But go ahead and write about it anyway, because if it is real and it's taking place, we'll get back to you and let you know. We always have. There's no reason not to, because you're going to find it out anyway. If we tell you a lie, you're going to find the truth, then it's all over anyway. So tell you the truth, and when you find it, you're going to say, oh, you told the truth. Well, that'll be good news for both of us. I always knew it, and now you know it. Now that you know it, you'll be able to stand up on it because it's your own. It was your discovery. It is like your creation. It's your responsibility. You know what comes with that? You have to stop blaming people for your spiritual life. You have to step into it yourself. Berush Beshan.